We good?
We're good, sir. It's 7 o'clock, right on the nose.
Okay. I just want to make a quick announcement. Our chairman, Michael Bradley, had a personal matter tonight, so a conflict tonight, so he won't be joining us, but I'd like to call the meeting of Marshfield Board of Selectmen to order.
Second.
Motion's been made and duly second. Roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
Unanimous vote 2-0 to open our meeting. We are open for business.
Awesome. So let's kick it off with the town administrator's report, Mr. Maresco.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, my report will be somewhat brief than usual because the week of the 8th, we opened our vaccine clinic at the fairgrounds, and I cleared my schedule to be there to assist in the operation. We did have our COVID-19 task force call, and I had a meeting with the rec department on some programs. Other than that, my time was focused on getting the clinic up and running with our great team that we have. The week of February 15th, meeting with the clinic team regarding vaccine reporting and a call with DPH. Had a department head meeting that combined the task force meeting. So we kicked off the department head meeting with our task force meeting and then get into our department head. We talked about the employees were all back today into town hall. And we added some additional hours. So along with our hours of being open on Monday nights, 5 to 7, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 2. We added on Mondays, 9 to 11, we're open, and on Fridays, 9 to 11, we're open. So we added a few additional public hours, and we have more and more people using the kiosk. So there are many ways to get services, as well as all the offices on the first floor. People can go right up to the windows, even if we're closed to the public. Our employees are here, and people can pay bills, get answers to questions, drop off their census, etc. Also, Patrick and I have been reviewing the warrant articles and getting them all ready. The warrant itself will be available a week before the joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Advisory Board. The joint meeting is on March 30th. Therefore, the warrant will be available to the public on the 23rd of March. I had a meeting with our new Advisory Board member, Susan Tiswick, on some issues. We had a Zoom meeting regarding the clinic on some reviews to procedures. Patrick and I had a meeting to go over GNR's invoices with PMA. Had a meeting with Patrick, our treasurer collector, to review budget spending, budget tightening of some of our expenses, etc. Patrick and I also had a meeting with the Board of Health to review the budget with the new department head. I had a Zoom meeting with Good Energy. Good Energy, as you may remember, is handling aggregate electric because of COVID. Everything's been backed up. We're still at the mercy of DPU, but we're getting closer each and every day. Patrick and I attended the advisory board meeting, and the advisory board went through and voted on a number of department head budgets. And on Friday, I had a tour of the DPW facility. Bob Galvin and I met Tom Reynolds, and we did a walkthrough at 965. Later that afternoon, I had a Zoom meeting with Jana Ferguson, the assistant public health commissioner, to go over vaccine needs for our clinic, and worked all day Saturday at the clinic. That is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Maresco. Do you have any questions or anything, Mr. Darcy, on that?
No.
Okay. The next item on is your update on the drive-through vaccination center, Mr. Maresco.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, very happy to report that the week of February 8th through the 13th, we administered 2,253 vaccines. On the week of 2/16, 2/16 we were open, 2/20 we were open, and 2/22 we were open today. And we were able to dispense 1,544 for total doses inoculated folks with 3,797. We're actually set up now. As folks know, the drive-by, they see the drive-through clinic. We are one and only drive-through clinic in the Commonwealth. Been working with the DPH, and one of the things, as the board knows, is we're sort of like a mini state site now. They're getting away from the individual cities and towns, and people sign up And, even though we started off as Plymouth County, we're now, there's no borders. People can sign up anywhere. We had people from the Cape, we had people from Milton, Southeast Mass, Fall River, New Bedford, coming over and signing up. I can tell you when we got the vaccine at the end of last week, within 22 minutes, we filled 1,000 slots in 22 minutes. So there's a huge need. We added an additional tent because one of the state's requirements is that we be able to handle 750 people per day over an 8-hour period of time. We've never reached that plateau yet. We've come close on a couple of days of into the 500s. So we'll be more than adequately prepared to handle that. The response we're getting from people, parents, grandkids are so happy. It's so easy for their parents, especially people over 75. We've had people a lot of people in their 90s and 80s being taken there, and it's just been a great experience for them. They pull right in, they're greeted, people direct them, they get their shot, they do their observation. If you have no health issues, it's 15 minutes. If not, it's 30. And, we've had a great group of volunteers. Paramedics are giving out the shots. Danielle, our HR director, has put together a list of non-medical people. All medical people have to go through the Medical Reserve Corps, Duxbury umbrella. So we rely on that organization to help out. But after 2 weeks, things are going really well. Everyone's happy. And so on the phone today with Jana Ferguson again, and she's working with us because next week we're going to need 2,253 second doses, along with at least 1,170 first doses. So, next week will probably be our busiest week to date so far. And that's my report.
Excellent. I just want to say publicly how proud I am of you and the team and people of this town who have stepped up to not only, stepped up to volunteer, but also, our fire department, our fire chief, our police. It's a genuine team effort in a time where we really don't know. This is unprecedented. We don't really know. Just like all of COVID, we have never been involved in a mass, in a mass inoculation site or any of that stuff. And I really appreciate the hard work you've done, Mr. Maresco, and everyone else who has been involved. One thing I would like to make sure. I mean, I've seen a lot of, and I've heard from people of some frustration with getting a time and asking questions about priority for Marshfield residents and things like that. But I think it's really important that people understand just to be, I know it's hard, but to be patient. It's come a long way in a very short period of time, and it's going to continue to ramp. I understand the desire and the urgency that people have with, getting their loved ones inoculated, and we share that as well as sons and fathers and, have parents who are of age. And everyone will be inoculated who wants to be. And I think everyone just needs to understand that, be patient, it's coming. And, we're kind of at the mercy of the Commonwealth when it comes to delivery of the virus. If Mr. Maresco had his druthers, he would drive a big truck down there and pick it all up probably, right? So
Patrick and I were ready to go, Mr. Chairman. We were going to get a truck and drive right to the Midwest to the factory to pick it up.
Exactly. So I don't think it's an issue of lack of desire to deliver. It's just we have to play ball a little bit with the Commonwealth. So just hang in there.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for those kind words, and you're 100% correct. And people are frustrated once they get here. They find out how easy it is to get their shot. But to make it fair, the state created the one central area to get your appointment. It is frustrating when they added last week 1 million extra people. But that's to keep it fair to everybody. So everyone goes through the same system to try to schedule the appointments. And, people just need to be patient, as you said, and we'll get to everybody. I mean, the state says that as we keep going further and further into this year, there'll be more and more vaccine available, not only for Marshfield, but to other sites. So we'll be able to take care of a lot of people.
Excellent. Mr. Darcy, do you have any comments?
Yes, yeah, thanks, Chris. Michael and Patrick, want to thank you for all the hard work you put into making this clinic a success, and our employees at Town Hall have been putting a lot of hours to the clinic. The volunteers who have stepped up to serve and help our community, and then Marshall Police and Marshall Fire. You guys done a great job to run the clinic, and we're at 109% efficiency with the vaccine doses that we get, which is a huge tribute to the hard work that you guys are putting in. I understand that people are frustrated. The number of appointments that we have available is a function of how many vaccine doses we get from the state. So at one point, hopefully we're getting enough vaccine doses to do 750 shots a day. It's been a little bit sporadic out of the gate, but again, the number of appointments we have is a function of how many doses the state is giving us. And the state is shifting towards a distribution model where they want to give those to these mass vaccination sites. So thanks to the foresight that you had, Michael, we're in a great position to serve our community. And having the industrial grade freezers, which a lot of people don't have, puts us in a great position to get the Pfizer vaccine, which a lot of folks, if they need it, they don't have a place to safely store it. So that puts us in another great position as well as we move forward and the supply gets ramped up.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Darcy.
All right. Thanks so much for that report, Mr. Maresco. We have a few minutes before our first appointment, so I'm going to go ahead and knock off one of our first action items, which is discussion and vote on request for permission to hold polar plunge. Mr. Maresco, do you want to?
Yes, let me get right to that.
I know it's down the road.
Okay, we were waiting for some additional information to come in, some specifics on that. And to date, we haven't got that. So I'm going to ask the board until we get the particulars. We were quick to get it on there. The organization was going to forthwith get us some information. I'd recommend to the board that we postpone this to our next meeting.
Okay. What is the date that they're proposing? I'm trying to see. I know this is for the ALS one,
Yeah.
which is a very important organization, but I don't see a date.
That's what's missing. There's no date. That was
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I just wanted to make sure that if they weren't planning on, before it becomes too less polar, that we get to it, right? So okay, then let's just pass that over. We don't need to make a vote on that, right?
No, we don't. We can just table it to our next meeting, pending more information coming in.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll table that. The next, one more action item, discussion and vote on forbearance of fees and license extensions for small businesses. Do we have time for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much, Mr. Chairman, for having me. So effectively what we're asking for is we'd like to have, Michael brought up a great point to say, what can we do to sort of do some more for our small businesses, particularly the restaurant industry and the beer, wine, and liquor industries that have sort of been, on this COVID roller coaster, as you mentioned before, as to, no one really knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We've never been through this before, right? Mm-hmm. So effectively, looking at our finance situation, looking at our money situation, what can we do? The recommendation from Michael and myself would be that the town will allow restaurants to pay their taxes late, but still receive any licenses provided they fill out a promise to pay agreement with the treasurer's office. So if they're trying to do a building remodel, trying to do something interior, right, we give them a promise to pay for an extended period of time, right, and that's what we would let them do. The restaurants will have to pay all tax and interest charges by next January, which is January 14, 2022. So it gives them 2 weeks sort of after their busy time, right before the holiday starts. So once that money comes in, then obviously they square up with us and life goes on. The catch, of course, would be that the Board of Selectmen obviously has the authority to give, but also to take away. So should the establishment fail to pay their taxes and fees, then you guys can obviously revoke their license. And further, the town will not enforce any foreclosure action because my office is the foreclosure agent for the town, and I work for Michael and the board. We would sort of hold off on it. We have about 48 cases in the pipeline right now. So to be honest with you, adding any more cases would just be kind of overkill, right? The courts are, the land courts in Boston is one land court. There's 2 land court judges and 3 magistrates, right? We already have 48 and they're so backed up from last year. It's unlikely they're going to get in this year to any of them anyway, right? So why don't we just give them to September 1st, 2022, provided they sign the agreement with our office before we take any foreclosure action. What this means, right, is that obviously interest and fees would still occur, right? Because the governor in the bill they passed, unlike last time, right, where they allowed us to waive interest and fees, hasn't signed anything like that for any, and it doesn't look like they're going to either, right? So that means we can't legally waive the fees and interest. We don't have the authority, right? We just don't. But this would buy people some time to refinance, figure something else out, right? And it would be an extenuation of the forbearance plan just a little bit differently. And that's what the proposal is here before you all tonight. Thank you.
Okay, so just to sum up it, I mean, basically what we're saying here is you know, obviously with the issues that we're having with COVID and you know, obviously we can't just waive these taxes, but and fees, but at the end of the day, you know, we're here to help support local business. And if they just are just in touch with you, if people are struggling on the small business front and they talk to you, Patrick, you know, ultimately that's the key, right? Is to talk with you, work on a payment plan, and ultimately, you know, putting a deadline of 9/1/22 to get their taxes paid is what this is basically.
Correct. Like we'll have a promise to pay agreement very similar to the stuff that we had last April, last May, that was sort of the tax and the forbearance program we had before. Right. I'll run the form through Michael. I'll make some modifications to the last one that was very successful. It was a great form, but only 11 people took us up on the offer, right? So, you know, we can put all the information out there. We did a press release, put it in the paper. We talked about it at all the meetings, and we had 11 people out of 25,000 residents sign up for it. So I don't know if this will, I don't know how much action this will receive, but it's you know, we can at least we say we tried our best, right?
Sure, absolutely. All right, that makes sense. Mr. Darcy, any questions?
No questions.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the plan for the discussion, the fees and license program as proposed by our treasurer collector Patrick Delarusso as presented.
Second.
Motion's been duly made and second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Darcy?
Aye.
2-0 vote. Motion passes, and I know the chairman sent me a text message to say that this is an item that if he was here, he would be supporting.
Excellent. All right, great. So let's get back to our first appointment. It's at 7:17. This first appointment is M&M South Shore Hospitality LLC, doing business as Station 8. Application for change of manager. It looks like from what has been sent to me, and I'm sure Mr. Darcy as well, that that looks like the documentation's in order. Is somebody here from Station 8? Oh, you're on mute, sir.
Mike, yeah.
Oh, hey, Mike.
Here we go.
There
Mike,
you are.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, thanks.
Can you kind of, for the sake of our public and for us as well, just kind of give us an update on why we're having this change of management?
We brought in a new GM to kind of make changes to the overall, food, beverage, clientele. Just we needed a change, and so Tony has a ton of experience, corporate experience, local experience. Grew up in the town, and we felt it was a good. He'd already been training there, so it made sense to move him into the GM role.
Okay, great. I know it seems like all the paperwork's in order. I know that the Chief Tavares has sent us an email or a letter stating there's no concern of any kind for this change. And frankly, Tony's been working with the organization for a little while, like 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I don't really have any other questions. It seems like everything's in order. Mr. Darcy?
Yep, no questions.
Okay, great. So I will make a motion to to move forward with the change in management to have, I'm trying to find the letter so I can say it right. So change of manager from Michael Pavone to Anthony Joseph Calabrese, the third, for M&M South Shore Hospitality LLC, doing business as Station 8.
Second.
Motion been duly made and second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland,
Aye.
Mr. Darcy,
Aye.
2-0 vote, and motion carries, and the change in manager has been approved.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike, for your help.
Thank you, gentlemen. We can log off now, right?
Yeah, you don't have to stay.
Wait, I'm an
Unless you
accountant.
really
It's,
want
it's tax season. I got a lot of work to do tonight.
Okay, the rest of it's going to be enthralling, so you should stay.
I'm interested, but I get
No
taxed
offense,
also.
Mr. Gimon.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night. Thank you for everything you guys do.
Thanks. Thank you. All right. It is 7:20. Our 7:20 appointment is here. Our town planner, Mr. Greg Gimon, for an update, discussion, and vote on FEMA flood maps and MVP program. Mr. Gimon.
Thank you. Do you have a slide up on the screen now?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Start. Oops, wrong presentation.
Uh-oh.
That's my second presentation. Hold on a second. All right. Does it say FEMA Inland Waterways map?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. So FEMA is finally moving forward with its inland waterways flood map. By accepting the revised floodplain language, which is coming up at this town meeting, the town will automatically be voting to accept the new inland floodways firm maps and a revised flood insurance study, or FIS, both dated July 6, 2021. This vote will also update the FEMA maps to reflect the 2020 coastal LOMARs for both Duxbury and Marshfield. And the vote is required by FEMA in order to keep the town in the flood insurance program. To see the new maps, because the language at the at town meeting is primarily just language, it references this new map, but it does not display this new map. So to see the new maps, you need to go to the town website, which is the www.marshfield/ma.gov. When you're on there, you go down to just below the header for the town. There's something called online services. You go to that page, and then you click on flood insurance maps. And then look at the white area. You'll see a link that says online mapping for FEMA flood maps. You click on that. And the reason I'm going through this as quickly is because last year we changed our online mapping program, and most residents are not accustomed to this new system. So when it comes up, it takes a few moments to come up. This light green box will appear. You go down to the bottom and you click on that lower OK box. It will then pop into the map. You'll see on your right, there's a thing called layers list. You want to make sure that you click on boxes 3, 4, and 5, which are all proposed inland waterway maps. And that will give you specific information on the inland changes, which is what you would need to look at. The next thing you'd want to do is you go over to the top left, just underneath the town of Marshfield flood map app. It has a little white bar that says address, owner, parcel. You can type in your address, your name, or the assessor's plot lot. It will then bring you up to that parcel. Unfortunately, right now, a little assessor's box will pop up right on top of the house. So you have to turn that little box off by clicking the little X that would pop up with the box. That'll disappear. In this case, we're looking at 60 Cross Street, which is right here. And you can see the light green area is the new inland flood zone in that area, and it does affect a portion of 60 Cross Street. Therefore, this home would be considered in the inland flood zone. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that it has to have flood insurance. You would have to have flood insurance if you had a mortgage. A review of the new map panels, and there are 5 map panels that are being changed with the inland waterways, and they're listed on this slide, shows a modest increase in the size of the flood zone along the rivers, brooks, and creeks in the town. And by comparing the topography, which is found in that layer box when you first click on, you'll notice that the new layer conforms better to the topography than the old layer. Now I have on this slide showing the new layer, and you can see this black line here between the green and the tan. It's running generally between 30 and 28. 29 in that area is what they're talking about. So you can see it in better conformance. The previous maps were kind of blobs. These are much more aligned to the topography, which is a good thing for our residents. The particular changes are along the following tributaries: the South River, basically southwest of Plain Street 139, Furnace Brook, Bears Brook, Hannah Ames Brook, Little's Creek, and North River Tributary A, which goes by the Hatch Mill. We need to come up with a better name for that particular branch. There are no changes along the North River itself, and along the South River, the changes are no changes to the east of the 139 3A, where the Veterans Park is. As far as impacts to individual properties, it appears, again, we are not the official determiners, the mortgage lender companies are. 5 properties appear to be going into the flood zone. 60 Cross Street, as I mentioned, 108 Cross Street, 391 Union Street, which is the Hatch Mill, 1187 Main Street, and 229 Old Ocean. Only 2 of these are homes that we know of. And if they had mortgages, they would be required to have flood insurance. Better news for the town with the new maps, because they're adjusted better to the topography than the previous, we have actually 9 homes coming out. 120 Regani Ave, 88A Flames Road, 201 School Street, 485 Pleasant, 465 Pleasant, 125 Canoe, 1463 Main, 1410 Main, and 457 Main Street. If you need a copy, we have yet to get the hard copies of the official maps at Town Hall. We do have them online in PDF format already on the town website. So you would go scroll down and you'll see the link for that in the white box. And if you have any other questions on the flood issues, you can either call us or speak or email Karen or I, and our email addresses are up on the page. It's basically our first initial, our last name, and then townofmarshfield.org. So that's it for the first presentation. Do you want me to go right into the other one, or is there questions?
Can I ask a quick question about the first presentation?
Yep.
It's very helpful. I think the maps look, based on the ones I've seen in the past, they do look a little more precise than the former maps, and that's good news. One thing I want to ask is, you walk through some steps. Is it possible to put those directions on the website so people could refer to them when they're doing the overlay?
Yes. Probably the best location would be on the main page versus the planning page. So we will ask John and Jay to add. I will give them the steps written out, and we'll have them add that to it as sort of like a when you get there. We used to have it on the old mapping system that gives you kind of a punch list of here's what to do.
Excellent. Mr. Darcy, any questions on that presentation?
Nope. Thank you for the walkthrough so far, Greg. No questions yet.
Okay. Carry on, sir.
All right. Share screen. So do you see the next one, which is the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program?
I do.
Okay. So on this one, the next round of funding for MVP grants is coming out from the state. And presentation. In order to apply for an MVP grant, the town has to have an approved MVP plan And the plan that we have has to identify the proposed project as a priority action item. We meet both those requirements with a coastal resiliency plan. We need to have an expression of interest to the state by the end of the week, February 26th, which is why we wanted to kind of run through it with you so you knew what we were thinking about. The long-term coastal resiliency plan basically identifies how we would respond in a catastrophic storm event that destroys a significant amount of the town's seawalls, roadways, and/or coastal residents. Fortunately, we have not had something of this nature yet, but it seems like with sea level rise and climate change and all the other things going on, we're probably looking in the future at some type of event. We also have some sections in seawalls that the high water mark is right up to the base or foundation of these seawalls. We have not had the beach nourishment enacted yet, so we have a number of things that leave us vulnerable to this, and that's why part of the reason we're thinking this is a good time to start thinking through this. The benefits is basically bottom line, planning ahead, having a locally approved plan in place puts us in a much better position to get federal funds, especially if we need, God forbid, to relocate major infrastructure, say 139 or the sewer treatment plant or something along that scale. Or to acquire destroyed properties that the property owners realize it doesn't make sense to rebuild anymore. The proposed changes would be based on known or established through previous studies and also new information developed by the consultant. The study would include the basic or the major components are the risk factor and asset inventory, and that we would cover with the coastal areas would be divided into sections for level of development, elevation, probable inundation, coastal infrastructure type, and or conditions. And we're looking at present day 2030 and 2050. Now, a lot of plans look all the way out to 2070, but in previous studies that have happened in the town, most people have a very hard time with the 2070. I felt that if we focused on present day 2030, which to me is short term, and 2050, which is midterm, that is something we have a better opportunity of grasping and realizing what we need to address.
Sure.
So under the development or impact zones, we would be looking at possibly like categorizing things that would be in the future if we had a major storm and a number of structures were destroyed. Some places we may want to discourage reconstruction, either through acquisition or whatever. Other places we would be okay with reconstruction, but we would need to have them build at a higher standard than they're presently doing. And then the third category would be, yes, it's okay to rebuild with current construction standards. And one of the mechanisms that would be looked at with the study would be crafting new zoning regulations to basically address that. Now, if you remember back in, well, some of us remember, in 1979, the town had passed the 11-foot requirement, both in our floodplain and in our conservation regulations. And based on the highest flood elevation of the blizzard of 78, which was about 10.5, the town had basically said from now on, new construction needed to be at elevation 11 or above. And that kind of set the stage of doing something proactive. And this is along the same lines, kind of identifying as things change in the future, what should we be looking forward to in the future? Remembering that the FEMA flood maps presently are only based on previous storm events, not what the future could bring. The other three categories would be the cost benefit analysis for what we would be doing versus if we did nothing. Public engagement and outreach, which we're hoping that we're going to be able to have live meetings, sometime between now and June of 2022. I'm betting on it. And then final draft and final plans, and we would hope to wrap this up by June 30th, 2022. The MVP grants do require a 25% match from the town. This match can be a combination of funds or in-kind services with the town staff, similar to what we've been doing with the CZM Beach Nourishment. So that's it on the second presentation, if you have any questions.
It makes sense, and I think it makes a lot of sense to be prepared. I mean, there's no doubt that climate change is real, and it's going to only get it's only going to change more as time goes on. So I think that it's a smart move to get ahead of this. So I have no other questions, Mr. Darcy.
Yeah, Greg, thank you for being proactive and putting us in a good position to be eligible for these grants and to increase our chances of getting them. So thanks for all your work.
Excellent. Okay, thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Have a good
Appreciate
night.
it. You too. All right, so a little over on our 7:30 appointment, the Plymouth County Mosquito Control update on aerial spraying. Somebody here from, I think
Yes,
I saw somebody.
Chairman, Ross Rossetti was very kind. We called and he was full of information when I called, and he arranged his schedule to be here tonight to give a little overview on what they do, how people get in touch with them, etc.
Excellent. I know my neighborhood, we've taken advantage of that many years, and I appreciate the service. So, Mr. Rossetti, if you could give us an update.
Sure, yeah. If you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen.
Sure.
All right. So there's just going to be a quick overview of some of the things we do, very brief. The superintendent and also the pilot at Plymouth County Mosquito Control. Just so you know, for the flying end of it, we don't do any of the adulticide spraying that has been in the news lately. We do larviciding spraying only. So this is our shop location here. It's we got coming up on 2 years at this location this spring. It's a 13,000 square foot shop and office located just outside the airport at 272 South Meadow Road in Plymouth. We're also within the Department of Agriculture, and then within the Department of Agriculture, there's a state reclamation and mosquito control board. That's made up of a 3-member board from the Department of Conservation Recreation, Department of Agricultural Resources, and 1 member from the Department of Environmental Protection. And then below that is where Plymouth County Mosquito Control is and all the other mosquito control projects. We have 5 appointed commissioners that are appointed by the SRB. And during the season, we coordinate with the Department of Public Health for risk level changes, aerial interventions, and the like. So the things we do, it's a year-round job for us. We do surveillance, source reduction, water management, larviciding, and adulticiding. And I'll go through these now. So surveillance, we do actively trap mosquitoes. We have several different kinds. We get different types of mosquitoes. When we collect them, we keep track of the population levels, and also that's how we get the mosquitoes to test for the virus, which is West Nile virus and EEE. Last year, we collected 70,000 mosquitoes throughout the county, and we tested 23,000 of those. We do source reduction. The main thing we started in 2017 was our tire removal program. So far, we've taken over 12,000 tires out of the county, and they've been recycled. We do 10 tires per resident, and then we also work with towns, town managers, DPWs, and to set up bigger projects if they know sites. This one on the left here is one up in Norwell that was there for years. We cleared it. It was like 5,000 tires, I think. So if you guys know any projects like that, let us know.
Sure.
We also work with residents, just identifying things on the property that might breed mosquitoes, trash barrels, bird baths, clogged gutters, things like that. And if you guys have any questions along the way, just let me know.
Sure will. Thanks.
We do water management. So we have several excavators, and we also have hand tools, power tools, stuff like that, that we go out and clean ditches. So flowing water doesn't bring mosquitoes. So if we can let them flow freely, we won't have any issues. This one here in the top left, that was actually on Keene Road. That's one of your trucks there. We actually worked together with Tom, set that up. And the other one down the bottom is Ocean Street. Yeah, that was one we just cleaned up. That was done by hand. So guys went in there with chainsaws, brush cutters, things like that. 2020, we did over 3,000 feet of ditch cleaning in Marshfield. We do water siding that starts in the springtime. This is kind of gives you the best bang for your buck. You get the mosquitoes when they're still in the water before they can become adults and bite anybody. We have an airplane to do about 12,000 acres with BTI. It's a bacterial pesticide we use. It's relatively safe. We have backpack sprayers, hydraulic trucks, which is kind of like a garden hose that you can go in and spray stagnant water. We have a new sprayer this year. It's an A1 mist sprayer, so it sprays a big mist of the BTI into the woods, probably about 300 feet. And then we just go in by hand as well with those dumps that you can buy them at Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff. So in the town of Marshfield, we did over 3,500 basins roughly, and we have those all mapped on our GPS system. We got a crew of 2 guys that go out and treat pretty much every basin in the whole county. It's over 60,000 basins. So that's for West Nile intervention. We also do inspections. We have all the potential breeding sites mapped on our tablets that the guys go out with, and then they did over 600 inspections in Marshfield. So the way we spray for adult mosquitoes is all with our trucks. You can see in the top corner here, this is what our ULB sprayer looks like. It only puts out 0.62 fluid ounces per acre. That's about a shot glass worth of pesticide over an entire acre. We do that between 2 a.m. and sunrise. That's to avoid pollinators, honeybees, and stuff like that. In Marshfield, we sprayed over about 3,800 acres, and we had over almost 2,000 requests from residents. Generally, Marshfield is our highest requested town, so we definitely do a lot of spraying in the town. You can see at the bottom there, we have GPS tablets in each truck, and that tracks where they go. It also shows them no spray areas, environmental sensitive areas, things like that. And then we can go back later on and look at what they did and keep track of it. And let's see, yeah, and each resident gets 8 sprays per year. And they can do that through fax or over the cell phone right now. We also do education and outreach. Starting actually today, we have a new community liaison, and she's really eager to get out there and start talking to the towns and the schools and everything, and just start raising awareness again. She's got some new ideas. Her name is actually Kathleen Drynan. She's the retired Board of Health in Halifax, and she's also a longtime commissioner for Plymouth County Mosquito Control. And before COVID times, we would do a lot of councils on aging, clubs. We do radio interviews, local access TV, just trying to spread the word on which repellents to use and how to keep yourself safe. We also work with all different schools to make sure that they're keeping up with the Children and Family Protection Act and keeping their IPMs updated so that if they do want us to spray, we can come and do that. Usually it's when we have AAA in the area. And if anyone needs to contact us, that's our website. It has pretty much everything I just went over there, our office number, fax number. We do have a separate email set up for the towns and schools to get a hold of us via email if the phone lines can get pretty busy. We did just get a new phone system set up for this year, so it should be a little better than in the past. And that's the presentation, so I can take any questions. I know you guys probably got questions on the PFAS situation. I can't speak to some of it because we don't spray Anvil, but I can answer any questions as it relates to us.
I actually don't really have a question. I really appreciate you coming in and presenting. I knew obviously mosquitoes are an issue, especially with Tripoli and West Nile, but I didn't realize the extensiveness that your services provided. And I think, it's very important. I mean, mosquitoes are a fact of life here and a nuisance, but also they can be dangerous. And without you, I just can't imagine what they'd be like, So, Mr. Darcy, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Chris. And Ross, thank you for taking the time to meet with us. We really appreciate it. I know you're busy, so appreciate you making the time to attend tonight's meeting. It's very kind of you. So it sounds like at the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that the work that your department does specifically does not involve the aerial spraying that, people have seen in the news recently.
Yeah, so we coordinate with them, we help them because we're obviously in the area in Plymouth County and Bristol County are the hotspots for Tripoli. So the SRB, which is above us, is the one that requests aerial spraying if it gets to the point where it's needed. So they're the ones that make the polygons and where they're going to spray. They contract with the plane. They choose the product, and it all goes through SRB. We advise them on, the details of Plymouth County, but none of that is under our control.
Gotcha. So you think they would probably be the best resource to discuss their aerial spraying specifically?
Yes, and I've been talking with Mike Moresco to get you guys in touch with the people that get the answers. So Alicia and Taryn, I believe, responded today that they will be providing the, I think they requested the acres that have been sprayed in Marshfield. They're trying to get those numbers because it goes back many years, and to I guess they have the overall numbers. So they just have to weed it down to what may have been in Marshfield. I know that 2020, as far as I know, they didn't spray in Marshfield, and then in 2019 there was only a very small edge that it did get into Marshfield. And then as far as the products go, Anvil, Plymouth County hasn't sprayed Anvil since 2009. They sprayed it for, I believe, 3 years. And since then, we haven't sprayed it, but we do spray a product called Duet. It's made by the same company as that makes Anvil. So what the company's done, because they're shipping it in the same containers, and I don't know if you're up to speed on it, but the containers seem to be the source of the contamination. So the company has taken upon themselves to take back those barrels. So we have some of the Duet in those fluorinated barrels that we're sending back. They're going to send them in new non-fluorinated barrels. So then from that point on, the Department of Agriculture will test out the adulticides before the season.
Okay. And Ross, do you have like the quantity of that chemical that was sprayed that was delivered in a similar type packaging?
Not offhand, but it's something I'd be able to find.
Okay.
And none of that has been tested or found to be, containing it as of yet. None of it's been tested.
Yeah. Are there any other products used by the Plymouth County Mosquito Control Program that uses that similar type packaging?
No.
Okay. And you anticipate that for the upcoming season that the new packaging will be in place from this company?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we've already filled out the forms. It's like they did it all online. And we do obviously a lot of business with this company. So they have reps that, they call you right up and they told us the plan, and I filled out the forms, got it back to them, and we should have it before the season.
Awesome. And Ross, I don't know if this is kind of outside of your purview, but could you speak at all to the risk of these, PFAS forever chemicals potentially, leaching into groundwater or other water sources?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't. DEP would be the best resource for that one. Okay. They're the ones that kind of cover that.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. And Ross, appreciate you coming here tonight and just answering any questions that we have. I don't know if it's too early to tell, but do you have a feel for what this upcoming, tick and mosquito season is going to look like?
Yeah, it's very hard to say. Usually Tripoli comes in 3-year cycles. Last year would have been the second year. There's a potential, it could be again this year, but we had a pretty good drought last year, which hopefully will keep the Melanurian numbers down, which is the main mosquito in the Tripoli cycle. So fingers crossed, it won't be too bad, but, we got a lot of water out there right now, so.
Yeah. Especially after today. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Ross. We really appreciate it.
no problem. And, Mr. Maresco's got my email, and you guys have any questions, just send me an email, call me anytime.
Sure thing. All right. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate you coming to the meeting.
Yep.
All right. Let's get back to our action items. That's our last appointment for tonight. So the next action item would be discuss and vote on acceptance of donation from Rockland Trust to support the vaccination center in the form of box lunches for volunteers. I see that Rockland Trust has purchased and wants to donate lunch from Fetch Barbecue for the volunteers and staff at the vaccination site. Mr. Maresco, do you have any? I mean, I love Fetch, and I think it's amazing Rockland wants to step up and buy Fetch.
It was really nice. Patrick, they reached out to Patrick, so I'll let Patrick give you the update.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.
I want to especially thank the Senior Vice President of Rockland Trust Government Banking, Jeff Smith, and from the Wealth Creation Group. Their whole team over there has been a great partner of Marshfield through and through. They hold 11% of our assets in town. And most importantly, all of our investment funds or the majority of our investment funds are with them. So they're a partner of the community. As soon as Jeff lives in town, his family's from town. They're great people. He heard what was going on down there, and he the first thing out of, how can we help? And I said, well, this is what you guys could do if you guys are interested in helping. And they stepped up to the plate. A little more on that also. Believe it or not, we only do business with 6 banks in the town, 170 million a year, and we only do business with 6 banks now. And we have 4 commitments from other banks, which we'll be bringing forward to the board for more donations. A few banks from $10,000 to $25,000 a piece that they've committed. So it's going to be, I'm thinking by the end of this pandemic, probably $100,000 to $150,000 in donations from our partner banks. What I think we'll be able to achieve. This is a huge step up for everybody, and it just speaks to the partnerships that the finance team has developed with these banks that want to, help contribute to the community and help the cause. So with that, thank you.
No, I mean, it's great. Again, I mean, look at my initial statement. I mean, it takes a village, it takes a team, and not just the people that work for the town, but it's everyone, and we're all in this together. And it's really awesome to see Rockland Trust step up and these other banks starting to step up, and especially utilizing some of our small businesses, which we just talked about, that are struggling. And Fetch is a great local place, and I'm hoping that they can spread the wealth a little bit and some of our other fantastic restaurants around town. So
we have a good list to choose from. So we'll try to mix it up.
We're very fortunate. Yeah, Mr. Darcy.
Yeah, we really appreciate their donation and generosity. It just shows what a nice community effort this whole endeavor is. So it's just great to see so many folks pitching in and getting involved and trying to help out.
Great. So I'll make a motion that to accept the donation from Rockland Trust to support the vaccine center with box lunches from Fetch Catering. And do you need to put the amount on there, Mr. Maresco?
Yes. Yes.
So the amount will not exceed $2,500.
Right.
That's my motion.
Second.
Okay, a motion been duly made and second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Majority vote, 2-0, passes. And our chairman asked me to mention that if he was here, he would have voted to support this also. So with your vote, the gift is kindly accepted. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, next action item is to discussion and vote on request for permission to deficit spend snow and ice budget up to $200,000. I would assume that's Mr. Della Russo.
Yes.
Yeah, this is pretty standard operating procedure when we get to this time of the year. Should there be multiple snowstorms? I know the inch volume on the snow hasn't necessarily been huge, but every snow event requires bodies and requires material to be spread as part of the operation for DPW. There's no disagreement from myself or our finance team, and this will be discussed in more detail at the finance team meeting on Thursday. with staff and everybody. So I have no objections.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this, every year snow and ice is a moving target. I mean, we don't know what we're going to get, and we have to, we have to move it. So totally makes sense to you, Mr. Darcy. Any comments?
No questions.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to, I will make a motion to permit deficit spend of snow and ice budget up to $200,000.
Second.
A motion been duly made and second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
Majority vote, 2-0, to allow deficit spending up to $200,000. And the chairman asked me to mention that if he was here, he would have been supporting this article.
Okay, excellent. So next action item, discussion and vote on request for permission to use town hall lawn and training green for Seaside Gardeners. Who wants to speak?
So this is been done in the past. Seaside Gardeners is our local gardening club. What they do as part of their fundraising efforts, they have a big plant sale on Memorial Day weekend. So in order to use the town green, need a sign off from the Board of Selectmen and a sign off from the Historic Commission. So once the Board of Selectmen vote on this, then they'll reach out to the Historic Commission to get permission. But they would like to be able to sell their plants on the town green on Memorial Day weekend.
Excellent. Yeah, I have no questions. That seems great.
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward. No questions.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to give permission to you for the use of town hall lawn and training green for the Seaside Gardeners.
Second.
Motion's been made and duly second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland.
Aye.
Mr. Darcy.
Aye.
A majority vote, 2-0, to allow Seaside Gardeners to use the town green on Memorial Day weekend for their plant sale.
Great. Moving on, action item to discuss and vote on request for permission to hold the virtual 5K run walk for Marshfield Education Foundation.
Yes.
So obviously in the past, they've had this walk run. It's been an excellent event for the town to raise money for the MEF and also a great community event. But unfortunately with COVID continuing to rage, they're looking to do a virtual run. How would that work, Mr. Maresco?
That is correct. Mr. John Giaberti is actually here. I don't know if he wants to speak. John, did you want to? There he goes.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yep, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
Yeah, typically, as I'm sure everybody knows, we have the in-person, the Marshfield St. Patrick's Day 5K.
Mm-hmm.
This would be, if we could do it in person this year, this would be our 11th annual. It's the largest fundraiser annually for the Marshfield Education Foundation. Last year, obviously, we were right up against it when we had to pull the plug on the in-person race. It was literally, I think, the Wednesday or the Thursday before the race. And we had to cancel due to COVID. So this year, what we're hoping to do is to hold a virtual event, a run walk that could potentially, we'd like to refer to it as semi-remote, where people feel up to it. It's going to be over a 3-week period because we want to make sure crowds don't gather and that kind of thing. But we were hopeful that we could help support the restaurants down in Plant Rock. And if people wanted to go run the traditional race route, they could run or walk. Every year it's a pretty big race. With virtual races, this will probably be a few hundred people over a 3-week period. So, we don't anticipate crowds or anything like that would be an issue with COVID. But we wanted to reach out to you. Typically we go to Kevin Filer and we work through this process and get permission for the race. this year with COVID, with everything being so up in the air, we just wanted to make sure we covered all our bases and ran our proposal by you all.
Okay, great. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I've been around some virtual events since COVID began, and typically on something like this, what I've seen is, like you're saying, is, you have a period of time, people have a fundraising page, or they go out and raise money through their networks or friends and family, and they commit to run a 5K sometime during the period that you're mentioning, and they either take photos or video of it or what have you, and ultimately it's kind of like a Scouts Honor kind of thing where we're going to go do it, and the money gets donated to MEF. That's pretty much what you're talking about, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I have no issue with that at all. I mean, as long, obviously people still need to practice social distancing and not congregate in beyond the rules or the law of what's going on with COVID. But otherwise, MEF's a very important organization in our town, and I'd love to give you as much opportunity as you can to, it's great for people and families to get out and safely, exercise and raise money for a great organization. But B, also it's important that you're able to raise some money for MEF. So I have no concerns. Mr. Darcy?
No concerns or questions.
Okay. Mr. Maresco, on this motion,
Yes.
would we want to put any stipulations like, I
We
don't know
don't
how
have
we
to
would,
do public safety because they're not really having the walk. It's all virtual.
okay,
So it's really to approve the event as a virtual event. And Mr.
Great.
Chairman, if I might, Mr. Giaberti didn't mention, but I wanted to mention this being their 11th year, they're funded 172 grants valued at more than $920,000 in support for our Marshfield Public Schools. So the organization has done an incredible job, and they continue to do it.
oh, that's great stat. And, I like I said, I know I've been a personal supporter of MEF since the beginning, and, played, I wish you guys would have a golf tournament
Golf
again.
tournament, right, me too. I
Maybe
enjoyed it.
someday down the road, but I know that's a challenging event to produce, and this run has become. I know people that have come from far out of town to run in this, so I wish you guys all the best. I'll make a motion then to permit the holding of the for the MEF to hold the virtual 5K run walk virtually from March 7th during a 3-week period from March 17th to April 3rd.
Second.
Motion been made and duly seconded. Roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland,
Aye.
Mr. Darcy,
Aye.
2-0 majority vote, and the event is successfully supported by the board. And the chairman asked me just to mention that if he was here, he would be supporting this. And in his email, it also said that the Board of Health unanimously voted in support of this also.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Giaberti. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thanks so much.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, one thing, I don't know if you have the revised agenda, but there's one other discussion and vote on the reopening of the skate park and street hockey rink.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? I didn't print out the revised agenda. So, all right. So let's have the discussion about reopening of the Marshfield Skate Park and the also street hockey rink. As you want to speak on that, Mr. Briscoe?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very quickly, we just got out of the red zone. Just barely, we're out of the red zone. So last Friday, when I sent out the updates, in the last 14 days, we've had 107 cases. Our percent positivity in the last 14 days is 4.65, down from 5.9%. Average daily incident rate per 100,000 the last 14 days is 29.5, down from 35.6. So what do all those stats mean? Those stats mean that we've just got out of the red zone. Red zone in populations between 10,000 and 50,000 is greater than 10 cases per 100,000 with a positivity rate of equal to or greater than 5%. And we're actually in the yellow category, which means that we had greater than 10 cases, which we did, or per 100,000. And our positivity rate is still at 5%. So we're in the yellow now. And, when we closed it, as folks remember, we had to close the park because we were in the red. There were so many cases. There were a number of cases at the schools. We tried, very unsuccessfully, but we tried to educate everyone about going to venues like that, the necessity to practice social distancing. We had their face masks. We even took steps to have cards printed to be handed out. We took additional steps by having one of our beach personnel people down there with a stack of masks, passing them out, passing out the education cards. The numbers continued to grow. People weren't following, and we made the decision that we had to close down for safety, both of the skate park and, of course, the street hockey rink. And the decision tonight is we're out. I'm having all of the magnetic signs changed to yellow because we still have a way to go. So after yellow, going further down, the next step would be green, and we want to get to the gray area. At one time, Marshfield was in the gray area. The gray area is less than 10 total cases per 100,000. So we want to shoot to get that. If the board votes to support the opening, one of the things to think about, we just got through February vacation. Do we want to wait and see what the 10 days following February vacation does? The reason I mention that is, if we take it down and we're back into the red zone, then we're faced with the dilemma, do we need to close it again? So I want to just give you some things to think about as you deliberate tonight. Reached out to the DPW, and when the person's back from vacation later this week, they will update the magnetic signs to say that we are now in the yellow zone. And then, it's up to the board. If they would like, if the board votes to open those, I will reach out to Armstrong Fence, and we'll make provisions to get the fences down and to get the both of the facilities open.
Okay, great. So I appreciate that feedback and that information, Mr. Maresco. So here's the way I feel about it. I know there's been a lot of discussion out in the public, and also, some deliberation about the skate park and the hockey rink. It was not an easy decision, as we've said before, to close those, but ultimately I do believe moves like that are the reason we are in the yellow. And proper social distance, wearing of masks, washing your hands regularly. I know it's a broken record, but ultimately it's it's part of the main reason. I know it's part of the main reason that we are in the yellow, and like we're nowhere out of the woods yet. I mean, we do want to move back to the gray, and I believe we will. That being said, I think it's a very positive move, and I want to treat it as a positive move to reopen the skate park. It's a beloved thing for our youth and skaters in the market, and also hockey rink. I think ultimately I would love to see it reopened. I do want to say, that's with me believing that we're all going to continue to do the things we have been doing and keep pushing to reopen everything and ultimately get back to normal. My personal feeling as a member of the select board is that I agree with Mr. Maresco that we've just gotten back from school vacation. I do think there could be a nice waiting period. My suggestion would be that we would target it to open March 1st, which is Monday, March 1st. And that would give us a week. I know it's a little less than the 10 days, but I think that by then we would really have a good idea on if there was any impact over school vacation. But that's kind of the way I feel about it. Mr. Darcy?
Yeah, something on the lines of, making it contingent on remaining in the yellow zone, something like that, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about the deadline? I mean, the March 1st opening?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's see if there's a spike following, school vacation, or if there isn't, then we can move ahead and open the skate park and the hockey rink as well.
Okay, great. So I'll make a motion that we move to reopen the Marshfield Skate Park and also the hockey rink beginning on March 1st, based on the fact that we have moved to the yellow zone out of the red zone for COVID-19 infection. And then as long as we maintain that, or even better, we will continue to have those facilities open. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion's been duly made and second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland,
Aye.
Mr. Darcy,
Aye.
2-0 majority vote to reopen both the skate park and the street hockey rink on March 1st, as long as they are still in the yellow. And the chairman asked me to say that he supported reopening as long as we stayed in the safety net area. So thank you.
All right. One final action item: discussion and vote of acceptance of minutes for February 8th, 2021. Do we have the signatures we need?
Yes, you do, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of February 8th, 2021.
Second.
A motion's been made and duly second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland,
Aye.
Mr. Darcy,
Aye.
2-0 majority vote to accept the minutes from the February 8th, 2021 meeting.
Great. And now I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
A motion has been duly made and second. A roll call is in order. Mr. Rowland,
Aye.
Mr. Darcy,
Aye.
2-0 majority vote to adjourn. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good evening. Stay safe.
Yes.
Thank you.